is the training around injury, staying motivated during those times, and just kind of talking about that process of when you do get injured, how to go about that and what to do to be able to continue to like become a better weightlifter and stick with the process.
Sorry, my internet went in and out. You
Yeah,
were
no
talking about
worries.
injury?
Yeah. So let's start with kind of your approach or your thoughts on athletes kind of training through injury or during a time of injury, anything like
Yeah,
that.
so obviously the first part is like defining injury.
Hmm.
Injury to me, coming, from playing college football, baseball my whole life and things like that. Injury means you can't really do anything at all on that body part that's injured, or the knee or the shoulder. Being hurt is, you can do some stuff but not at the capacity that
Hmm.
you normally would. um so being injured, what I would do is just train around it. If you're injured and you can't do anything at all, try to find something similar that doesn't affect the injury, um, that still gives you the same a similar outcome. Um, and then also focus on other weaknesses, such as, like, if it's a knee injury, focus on some upper body work, some stability work, things like that. So the main thing is to not stop training,
Yeah.
continue to show up to the gym. I think when you stop training, it's kind of when you get lazy. Um, you end up retiring or not coming
Hmm.
back or something like
Or
that.
you
So
take just like a huge break and then you feel like you're starting from scratch. Yeah.
yeah, and then that doesn't do the injury good anyway. So
Yeah.
you might as well do something that is a weakness that maybe you don't really address as much, because you're in the normal day-to-day training of snatch, clean and jerk, and squatting. Um, and address those smaller weaknesses. It could even be just, upper body mobility if it's a knee injury or something like that.
Yeah. I sometimes find that there's there's a lot to actually benefit from kind of going through those time periods because you most athletes, like you said, aren't full-time athletes. So we have to consolidate the programming into like the most important things.
Yeah.
And which means sometimes we don't get a chance to spend a lot of time in other areas, which might be like developing some additional mobility and hitting some of the smaller muscle groups in the upper body and stuff like that. And so sometimes when you go through that injury, especially if it's like a longer injury, and you have the chance to like maybe focus on some areas that we usually don't have a whole lot of time to, I find that a lot of times when we get back to being able to do the full movements, they start moving better and they look better even
Yep.
afterwards.
Yeah, even like in the fact of just showing up to the gym and studying other people's technique, or just
Hmm.
going on YouTube and studying technique of similar weightlifters with your proportions, um,
Yeah.
can always help in when you come back and learning new technique and figuring stuff out.
Yeah, I like how you said that. Study other athletes with similar proportions.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah,
not
because
everybody's going to lift like a Chinese athlete.
exactly. I was gonna
Yeah.
say this. I was gonna say the same thing. You obviously seen me. Me studying a Chinese athlete would not
Yeah.
do me any good.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is one thing that I definitely notice people with injuries when they're not able to snatch and clean and jerk, they spend a lot of time watching videos, which
Yeah,
is actually really good. I
it is.
think, it's surprising that connection that the body can still make to the lift by just seeing it on a regular basis. So I
Yeah, and
think
that,
that's a good point to make sure you're still kind of studying the sport too.
yeah, exactly. Learning new things.
Yeah, and I like how you separated out that idea of injury and hurt because hurt just means you just need to pull back a little bit,
Yeah,
So
we all go through phases of being hurt.
yeah,
If you're training at an elite level, you're gonna be hurt.
yeah. There's the idea that you're going to be able to throw weight on your body repeatedly and something not get tweaked or slightly injured or slightly hurt you know, that's there's no way you're going to be able to do that.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
that just goes with playing any sport. Now, you could just exercise and probably somewhat, you know, avoid these additional aches and pains, but for most people, they're trying to play the sport of weightlifting. You're going to push your body. There's going to be points where you have to push your body.
Yeah, of
There's going
course.
to be points where it's going to hurt. And so the idea that there's not going to be any pain in the sport, I think is kind of ridiculous. But
Exactly.
I think that's the hard thing, though, is defining whether this pain is something that is going to be a eventually an injury or not. And so my approach has always been like, if pain shows up, we are going to back off of it almost right away, and then kind of see how it goes. So, hey coach, you know, my knee's kind of bothering me today. I'm gonna be like, okay, let's lay off of it today. Let's hit some other things, and then tell me how it feels tomorrow. And sometimes they lay off of it, and within a day or two, they're back to doing everything normal.
Yeah.
Where other times they don't tell you anything, and they just grind and grind and grind, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey coach, my knee doesn't function
Yeah.
anymore. And I'm like, why didn't we have this conversation when it first started hurting?
Yeah.
And so I think it's good to have that ability to address when something hurts, because then I think we can prevent it from becoming a injury. But but you're right. That doesn't always mean that everything that hurts is also an injury.
Yeah, yeah, and it's kind of like you can even push up your deload a week or whatever it
Yeah.
was. Um, and it's also just that communication, like you said, is it just being sore, hurt,
Hmm.
or is it an injury? And
Yeah.
just knowing the difference and understanding where you're at helps.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's a good point. A lot of times it's just your body is begging for that deload, and it might just mean, hey, we're not going to finish out this week. Let's just go ahead and deload,
Yeah,
and then they're able to get back at it in a week.
yeah,
And yeah, and so, but again, I think that comes with a good ability to one, communicate with your coach, and two, just have that understanding of your own body and knowing when your body's going to feel more beat up. Like
yeah.
the if you deload every, you know, fourth week, probably that third week you're probably going to feel pretty beat up.
Exactly,
You know.
exactly.
Yeah.